and it's brown.
And it's right up there.
You know what I love.
That's right. My hair.
I really love my hair.
Oh my gosh, people have already started commenting.
My hair. I love
Can they
my
hear us
hair.
yet?
There's nothing else.
Yeah, we're live. With my hair.
I love my hair. So much declare.
We're just gonna wait.
I really love my hair. Wear a clippy or
Hey guys. We're just gonna wait for some people to come on in.
My hair looks good in a
Don't you love this song? It's so positive.
It does something that's
Why I let it go.
I love my hair.
Hey Freddie, hey Tammy.
I love it and I had to share.
All right.
My hair. I love my
This is my sound system right now. All right. Hey guys, how are you? I'm just gonna match up my phone with the live just because I like to see what's going on. How is everybody doing? If you are here, say hello. And I'm gonna put it right here. All right. So just say hello or give me some hearts. Hi guys. Hi Shola. Hi Freddie. Hi Kay. And Annie and Danielle. That is awesome. Hi Denise. Hi Odie. Hi Gina. Oh, I love my hearts and likes. I have a problem with my hearts and likes. I recognize that there's a problem with my hearts and likes. I see Rochelle. Every episode I like to do like romper room.
Yeah.
Right? So pretend this is the mirror. And this goes out to everybody whose name was never called in romper room. I see Rochelle and Gina and Cliff and Odie and Tanya. Hi guys. All right. So I have really actually been looking forward to this episode. I think that it's really important topic. By the way, for those of you that don't know, every week I drink bubbly water. Ilona has chosen to go with wine, but I'm drinking my bubbly water. Okay. Yes, Tony, your name. I see Tony. So yes, this was a really, really important topic. Before we get into the topic, I have learned better. First of all, last week's show was Nicole and doing her travel, being fluffy on vacation. But the show before was Single Black Girl, and I went on YouTube and I was told that I know nothing about being a black girl. So excuse me, I forgot my certified black girl shirt today. Okay? All right. So for those of you that don't know me, welcome. I do this show every Wednesday from 8:30 Eastern Standard Time until we've talked it out pretty much. And for those of you that are now joining me on YouTube, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. Secondly, I need to put out a disclaimer. All right? I do this every week. Anything that is said on the board is not necessarily the opinions of the broadcaster, okay? It's free conversation, but in the same breath, I want us to try and be respectful of one another, all right? And I think that is it. All right, so that's it. This is the beautiful Ilona.
Hi, guys.
And I met Ilona. Excuse me, it's the bubbly water. Okay. I met Ilona when I was doing Broadway Bound Theater Academy for children of color. Ilona was down from Winnipeg. She just really wanted Aria to be in the program and to be surrounded by children of color because there was a nobody, right? There was no children of color around. And so she felt it really important to have her involved in a program where she could see other children who look like her. And so that's what Broadway Bound was really about. So I had actually asked Ilona to come on board for another reason, another topic which we talk about. Not only does Ilona have 2 biracial children, but one of her children is a transgendered man who is gay. That's a whole, and a man of color. That's a whole other topic, So I thought I would keep it light and knowledgeable today. However, it is definitely a topic that can go much deeper. Mm-hmm. So I had, first of all, introduce yourself.
So my name is Ilona Adira, and I am a hairstylist. I've been a hairstylist for 25 years. I do all textures of hair, but I specialize in multi-ethnic super curly hair textures. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And one of my biggest passions is helping mothers, specifically white moms, to help take care of their biracial or adoptive children's hair.
Right, because I'm not going to lie, a lot of women, white women, and non-black, but you're white, so we're going to talk white tonight, is, 15, 20 years ago, even sometimes now, I see white moms with biracial children, and I personally want to take a brush and comb the child's hair or put some hair oil in the hair because the hair looks like it wants to break off. Yeah. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to see. Now, right now, we're going through very much we're celebrating natural hair, letting the hair out, and that's awesome. Yeah. If that's the intention, yeah, right? But sometimes that intention moves from not just celebrating natural hair and leaving it out, but you can't comb the child's hair.
Well, no, and a lot of parents, the problem is that there's a lot of mothers out there, and parents, I shouldn't just say mothers, because the dads have to be involved too. So
big time,
and
big
we're gonna touch on that a little later, because I have a couple little stories about that when I had my salon back in Winnipeg, right, of educating dads too, because
yeah,
let's just face it, if the mom's white, the dad's black, the child's biracial,
right,
and
is the child black?
Well,
that's
I'm gonna say for myself,
right,
my children are black because society will never see my children as white. So I understand that. So and we can get into all of the biracial people, celebrities, everybody who identifies, they're biracial, and they're not denying that they are biracial, but society will see them as black. My child can never go somewhere and say, my children will never say that they're white. So, then nobody's going to look at them and see that they're white. And I'm very aware of that. It doesn't make me feel that they deny their white side of them. But I'm very culturally aware about that. So, and I think that's important because for me, when people say, well, I don't see color.
You do see color.
You do see color. Because,
how can you not see color?
I know. Well, I mean, if you don't see color, you live in a really boring world, in my opinion. But
it is, and you're blind. Like you can say, someone did say that to me last week. There's someone said, I don't see color. I see color. I see
me
color.
Too. All the time.
And that's
yeah.
I just think I understand what they mean. They say
for sure.
It's not the first thing on their agenda, and that we're all humans and human race.
Course,
yeah. I get it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, a young black male, people see color.
Well, if you're identifying somebody, say like if you're, if somebody is walking, and you're trying to describe somebody to somebody, something to somebody, or someone to somebody,
right?
The first thing you're going to say is the race or ethnicity of the person. You're not going to say, oh, that guy with curly brown hair was walking down the street, or that girl with curly,
right.
You're going to say what ethnic background they are. So you obviously see color.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So Freddie says, how different or similar are the attitudes of whites in Toronto compared to the States? I ask that because Canadians seem to be a lot more tolerant of different races than America. I can only give my opinion when I went on YouTube and that guy was like, hey, white girl, you white Jamaican girl.
Whoa.
Not really aware. Like in Jamaica, our slogan or whatever under the flag is "out of many, one people," right? I sometimes feel, and I was speaking to a friend who is American, and she said, in America, we see white and black. That's it. Yeah. So I want to hear from some of our other American people to see if that's how they feel. Let's take something from Rochelle. Black or biracial people don't have the luxury of people not seeing the color of their skin. Yeah, absolutely. And I said I wasn't going to get into the whole biracial thing because I actually have someone a couple weeks from now touching base on that. But oh well, yeah. How can you not, right?
Well, it does go with the hair too, so we have to go. We have to kind of
goes with the
fit
hair.
It all together, right?
Yeah, kind of goes with the hair. Yeah. Let's see, Denise. Agreed, Freddie. We still have issues, but not like the States. I've lived in both countries. I will tell you, though, that biracial kids is a whole different thing because growing up, though I identify as a Black woman, I do not want to do that test. Ancestry.com because I'm going to find out that I'm German. And there's nothing wrong with German people.
I'm German, so that's okay.
But
I'm good people.
Listen, man, I'm scared of that ancestrything.com because I was with my parents the other day on the weekend, and I was like, so, Dad, can you tell me what your background is? And just specifically, Mom, what your background is? And there's a whole bunch, and there's black and everything else, except Chinese, right? But it's a issue because when I was in school, right, the white kids were like, well, you're not really a Black person. Yeah. And then the Black kids were like, well, you're not really a Black. Like they were both saying it. So it was a really hard time to identify, like, who the hell do I identify with? Right? Yeah. And it wasn't until, sorry guys, sirens. It wasn't until I got to high school, because I went to an all-white elementary school. Right? Then when I got to high school, I saw Black people and I was like, Black people! And I stuck to them like it was like coming home and drinking water. And luckily, I then moved into a lot of Black theater and a lot of, I was in the kink in my hair and I was surrounded by a lot of Black women. But even within that, I'm constantly reminded of my light skin privilege, which I absolutely recognize. My path, walking as a Black woman, is completely different than a darker sister. I get that. But I do need to say that there is also our own journey as well, which is often not tolerated, I think. Well, what do you think about that?
I think like in regards to like the whole, the shadeism thing is, that's a whole other topic. I think you're going to have that on in a couple of weeks. I won't get into that, but like myself, but, I mean, I think like, if we're going to get back to being like the parent, a white mom of biracial children, right. I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba. There is Black people there.
Do they know they're Black?
Yes, they know they're Black. There's a lot of West Indian. There's a very large West Indian community in Winnipeg.
Right.
I've actually, it's been part of my life since I was 16. So I have lots of friends who are biracial and Black and from Winnipeg. Right. Mm-hmm. So and I'd like to tell you why I got into doing Black hair was very important to me. So I'll share that story in a second. But, with my kids growing up in Winnipeg, knowing that, they were, very few of, children of color in their school, I've always made it very important for them, to understand that, that they have to love who they are and, and be comfortable in their skin and love their hair. I've always been a big advocate about hair because with
Rochelle says, my sister was born in Winnipeg.
So there is Black people there. Everybody always asks that. There is a lot of people ask that question. It was like when Oprah asked if there was actually Black people in Winnipeg, in Canada.
But there is.
But I think that it's important to understand that, you know, and I've always taught my children, I don't know what other parents teach their children, and I don't,
Right.
but what I've taught my children is society will see you as a Black person.
Absolutely.
You cannot go into and check the mark off to say white box. It's not going to happen for you. So you have to own who you are.
Absolutely. And be proud of who
and be
you
proud
are.
of who you are. But for me, it's always been who you are on the inside
Yes.
is what's most important, which we'll get into when we do the other thing about my son.
Yes, yes. So
Down the road.
Gina says it's the litmus test
Yeah.
of for pain, and we keep competing about who has the most pain when we really should be listening to each other's experiences.
Beautiful. That's beautifully said.
Absolutely,
Beautifully,
absolutely.
beautifully said.
Well
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
what are some of the mistakes that white women make with their biracial children's hair?
Well, I think for me, from my experience in dealing with that is, you know, a lot of times, you know, I realize there's always these comments about, oh, well, you know, she laid down with a Black man, she should know that her child's going to have curly hair or whatever. So, but I think that the thing is that sometimes, you know, when people think of biracial children, they think they all have the same hair texture.
No,
And
no,
they do not.
No.
I've actually have clients who were fully Caucasian and
that have
had
coarser hair.
complete afros on their head. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
you know, so you know, there's so many gamuts and so many different textures and all of that. So I think that it just sometimes can be overwhelming.
Right.
But if they find the right person to help them, which is what I pride myself on, that I was able to do that with a lot of women, especially in Winnipeg.
Right.
And just really teach them how to, you know, properly shampoo the hair, properly condition the hair, properly comb the hair.
That's a good
all
point.
of those things.
Alston says they cut it off. Now I have to agree. Like
Sometimes they do, yeah.
this isn't just biracial kids, or a lot of times I have to say that there are also Black parents that don't know how. My parents cut my hair off into a nice little afro. We're going to give you a nice little afro, Rach, because it was a thing. And it was either that or it was French braids. I had 2 French braids from grade 1 right up to grade 10 because it was just easier on my parents.
Well, if I can expand on that, a lot of times the reason why parents cut off their children's hair is because, so, you know, from a young age, it hurts the children's hair to have their hair combed. And that's for anybody. I think from what I understand in the Black women's experience, biracial women's experience, it hurts to have their hair combed. And I have sat many hours when my children were younger, combing hair, bawling their eyes out to the point of almost puking. You know, people could call Child Protective Services because they think I'm beating the child. Like all of these things, and this happens often. So at the end of the day, the frustration, because it's hard to tell a child to sit and don't cry when it actually hurts them. So we're putting them through a traumatic experience because but they have to have their hair combed. So sometimes parents just want to cut it off to make it easier on the parent, you know, and for the child too as well.
Rochelle, this is a big thing that I also experienced. Rochelle says, my mom relaxed my hair. All it did was break off. Now, I want to mention, I was saying to Ilona, and you know, I know today that you're celebrating, you know, primarily like natural hair, but at the age of 3, my mother was relaxing my hair.
That's young.
At the age of 3, and it was a very coarse, very strong perm called Jaffrey's. Like, it was like pretty much putting acid on the hair. This is a 3-year-old, right? And I do feel somewhat of a hypocrite, I gotta say. I said this to you earlier, that I chemically relax my hair, right? I've tried the natural thing. I don't give it. I get fed up and I just go back, right? And so could that also be like what parents deal with? Like they try, but then...
Well, the big thing about with relaxers, like, okay, so I do relaxers, but I do what's called a texturizing technique. So I'm very particular in how so it is a chemical relaxer I use,
Right.
but I just slightly loosen the hair to make it more manageable, less frizzy, but I don't take away all the curl. So, you know, if I'm gonna refer to Chris Rock's Good Hair movie when we saw that scene with the little girl getting the relaxers like completely smushed all over her skin and hair.
Right.
That I thought I was gonna die in the seat watching that.
Yeah,
that is
it's crazy.
absolute no and torturous. So, but you know that. So there, but I only for myself if it is a child, like, and I don't go as young as 3, but I'm saying if the parent absolutely cannot deal with the child's hair and it's a torturous experience, doing a slight slight texturizing. I have done that. I actually do it to my own daughter because she's a dancer. It's easier for her to pull up her hair. She can do her own hair. Right. But I only use a mild, and it's literally in and out for less than 10 minutes. And I don't even touch the skin. I don't burn the skin. Any of that stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna take it. Going forward, if I point,
sorry,
I'm taking a thing.
Sorry. Sometimes I go off on a tangent. Sorry.
It's okay. Jada, my child is biracial and was born with straight black hair, and I had no idea initially what the F to do with her hair. Eventually, her hair got curly, but even then, it wasn't like mine, so I still had to learn. And that's interesting because you're used to your own textured black hair. And then all of a sudden you have this kid with slippery black hair. What do you do with that? Right? To me, it feels like it would be easier.
It is easier if the cuticle layer of the hair is a smoother texture. It's going to be easier to deal with. But when somebody has dealt with really tight curls on themselves for so many years, they're just accustomed to their curl texture. So dealing with a different, like it's different for them. And so forth. And so, but I just saw Rochelle was saying, isn't keratin better than a relaxer? There's a difference between keratin.
Explain what a keratin is.
So a keratin treatment is, it is not a relaxer is a sodium hydroxide relaxer. So that's a lye relaxer. I know that people know about no lies as well, which you can buy in the store. They actually don't work as well. That's all chemistry. We're not going to get into any of that. Typically in salons use a sodium hydroxide relaxer. It actually helps to smooth out the cuticle layer of the hair better. It breaks down the curl a little bit better. A keratin is fine for certain curl textures. On super curly Afro hair texture, it's not going to do a thing. It's going to bounce back in like a week or 2. Some people can do it, and sometimes it doesn't work on people. So that's the big difference.
Denise will come back to her question. Denise talked about what's the difference between texturizer and relaxer. Let me see and tell me if I'm wrong. Texturizer and relaxer. Texturizer is a relaxer.
Yes.
There's no. They're both relaxers.
Yes, they are.
A texturizer, I've heard, is actually stronger than relaxer. So where people think like someone told me once, you know those perms for like children? What are they called? Just for me. I hear perms. They're really strong.
So they're actually a no-lye relaxer, and they are a calcium hydroxide. So when you go into the store and you see the box of Just for Me, S-Curl, the texturizer, the perm, like the relaxer perm with the optimum one that you see.
Dark and lovely.
Dark and lovely. Sorry, I had a mind blank. So when you see those, at the store, and you see different boxes, they are all the same product.
Come over a little bit.
Sorry. They are all the same product. They are all a calcium hydroxide no-lye relaxer. They're just marketed differently to different people.
But it's the
same thing. So the thing is with a calcium hydroxide, just like with your water, when you get a calcium buildup in your tub, it gets rusty and red. That's what happens to the hair over time. So a lot of times with people who've done no-lye relaxers over time, they'll notice that there's a kind of a reddish tinge that their hair gets. And they get dull and dry over time. Which is from the calcium. That's why salons like to use lye relaxer, which is sodium hydroxide.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to make a big clarity about this. If whoever saw,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a disclaimer, but whoever saw Good Hair,
Mm-hmm.
that when they interviewed that scientist,
Mm-hmm.
there is not 100% pure sodium hydroxide in a sodium hydroxide relaxer.
Oh, you've lost me about, yeah.
So anyways, a lot of people think that, but there's a very little bit of it in the relaxer.
Right.
But a lye relaxer is better to use on the hair.
Right.
Texturizing is the technique that I do.
Oh, so you could use
You can use a regular sodium hydroxide relaxer.
like
but
a mild?
A mild, I always use a mild,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the technique that I do. It's all about the timing, and it's all about the application. And it's all about matching the curl together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to
and without losing the curl 100%, like straight. Yeah.
Okay. I want to step away a little bit from chemically relaxing for a bit.
Yeah.
Just because I want to promote natural hair as well, even though my ass is like a dark and lovely in me right now.
Yeah.
Which I'll probably glow in the dark in about 15 years, but
Hey.
it's a little glowing in the dark. We have over the years had problems in the Black community with the slogan "Good Hair."
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
I think all hair is good hair, and I tell that to and we're talking about children tonight. So any child that sits in my hair, I tell every child, or in my chair, not my hair, my chair. Sorry, I tell everybody has good hair. There's no such thing as bad hair, good hair. Any of that.
Right.
It's just about teaching the child, because
Mm-hmm.
I also teach the children how to take care of their hair,
Mm-hmm.
as well as the parent.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how young the child is. I talk them through it, and I explain to them how it's very important that they learn how to take care of their hair, because it's on their head. And eventually mommy or daddy can't do it for them anymore. So they have to learn.
Mm-hmm.
But I always promote positivity and just really enforcing the fact that they have beautiful hair,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no such thing as bad hair. I'm also going to make a mention about that because I have had experiences of parents,
Mm-hmm.
moms who come in who don't have curly hair and who
White
make
girls.
the white
The white girls.
girls,
Just call it what it is.
white moms,
Right?
yeah. Make derogatory comments, and
What do they say?
well,
We wanna hear-
they'll sit in front of the child, and they'll say, "Oh, I don't know what to do with this wild mess, or this Brillo pad, or this," and my blood pressure goes up. But I have to remain professional, because I have a really hard time with those things.
Mhm.
So I really, first of all, I zen myself.
Yeah, Rochelle said, not just said by white moms. There's
And I don't really think people understand how damaging that is to a child's self-esteem and to their security about themselves.
Mhm.
If we're gonna, and this is in general, people. This is in general about people saying derogatory things to each other.
Mhm.
It affects us. And when you're saying that to a child, that this mess of this big mop or this mess or the whatever, don't say that. And it's about learning how to take care of the hair. It's learning how to moisturize the hair.
Right.
It's learning how to comb the hair properly. It's learning how to properly cleanse the hair and condition it.
Right.
It's giving the child other options that they can do with their hair.
Okay, I'm gonna say, there was one thing I was gonna say, but out the door.
Yeah.
Mary, my daughter had gorgeous curls at 13. She snuck and let a friend put a perm on her hair. It got so horribly dry and broke off. She regretted it for years. She's finally back to her natural hair. I refuse to use a perm on my little ones. I will use some detangling spray coconut oil. Take my time combing the hair out. Never any chemicals.
Perfect. And if that works for you, awesome. Then stick with that.
But it's not. You made a comment to me the other day, because I use a argan oil in my hair, and I do it every morning and every night, and then I throw on the head tie and the satin hair head tie. but it's not necessarily you're saying about all hair types will work
No.
for that.
Yeah.
So talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that.
So everybody, like, you know, even like we were talking about, you know, suggesting some products tonight, but I don't ever like to suggest a product line because because there's so many different products out there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that everybody has to find what works for them. My 4 main like things to look for in a product.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, shampoos and conditioners,
Mm-hmm.
they have to say that they are either hydrating, moisturizing, you know, those are the key things. If it says
Right.
clarifying or daily shampoo or volume, none of that. We don't need any of that. We need moisture, and more moisture. That's what curly hair needs.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the 2. Shampoo, conditioner must be moisturizing. If the shampoo can be moisturizing and detangling, even better, because that's going to help take out the tangles as you comb it. Because curly hair should always be combed with conditioner, with a wide tooth comb from ends up to roots, not roots to ends.
See, I would do that. The
Ends up
the
to roots, because you got to work your way to get the tangles out. You can't go right from the root and try to get down because you're going to stop and you're going to pull.
Yeah.
So you got to, it's like, you
yeah.
know, detangling, right? So you have to start from the ends up to the root
Right.
section. And it's going to take some time if the hair is like, if there's a massive head of hair,
Mm-hmm.
but you got to get through it. That's when the combing is most important, with wet with conditioner in it,
Mm-hmm.
and very softly. Then a leave-in conditioning, like a actual moisturizing hair cream,
Mm-hmm.
something very extremely moisturizing, a leave-in hair cream or
Right.
curl defining
Can
cream.
you leave your own? Because sometimes I'll, like, if I'm washing my hair and then I condition it, sometimes I'll just take some of the conditioner and put some in and leave it.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if that's all, if that's what you've got at the time, I've even said to people, you know what, if if you're somewhere and you forgot, you don't have any product,
Mm-hmm.
if you can find some like body lotion, like the shea
That's
body
a good
lotion,
tip, though, right?
put it in, because if you're putting it on your skin, it's going to be okay for your hair for that moment. If you don't have a product, as long as you have something to moisturize your hair, you know, whether it's coconut, and if people want to go the natural route, I always recommend coconut oil, shea butter,
You know,
avocado oil, olive oil. All of those things are really great too for the hair.
I found coconut oil actually dried out my hair.
It depends, because it would be great if it's fractionated coconut oil, which is actually not the heavy one. It's the liquid one.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay, yeah. Mine was like,
because the heavy one that solidifies, you got to like melt it and all that. You can't just put
Right.
that in your, you know what I mean? Like a big clump of coconut oil in your hair. But definitely the liquid one is good too. Yeah.
Right.
So
Only says, have you heard about the book Loving Me? It helps girls embrace their natural hair and lots more. I haven't heard about it, but I would love to hear about it, Only. So
yeah.
if you can inbox me, I would love to celebrate that. I think that there should be a lot more books.
There are
stories.
some, and I haven't heard that one though. But yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I'm going to look for that one for sure.
That is great. So do you guys have any questions in regards to hair? And I need to let people know you don't only do biracial hair, you do black hair.
I do all textures. Yeah, I do black women, I do adults, I do straight hair, I do afro hair, I do natural hair, I do texturized hair, I do
Interesting.
everything.
A couple of years ago, I wanted to promote Ilona on her classes, and she went to the black hair. You went to some, what was it?
It was the natural hair show.
Natural hair show.
Mhm.
And I let people know that she was coming out. Black girls, come on. You saw the white lady standing at the booth and you went, one of those. I'm not coming near you. You don't know how to do my hair. How do you feel? I mean, even when I came to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
During my moments of being natural, which kind of... But I actually I was very nervous to come to you.
Of course you were, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I was like, you can't handle my hair. I just don't think you can.
So that's a great one, because I get asked that a lot.
Right.
And it's been part of my 25-year career. I've had women literally jump up when they see me and go, no, you can't do my hair.
Mm-hmm.
So here is the thing, is I have an analogy that I always say to people.
Mm-hmm.
I say a male gynecologist does not need to have female parts to
He does not have
understand
to have a vagina.
to understand the female body.
But a lot of white hairdressers don't know.
Of course, because it's not taught in school. It's not something that is taught on the regular. I'm going to tell you, if I can go back to my story really quickly of how I got involved and how I got to this point. I was working in a salon a week after I graduated from hair school in Winnipeg.
Mm-hmm.
At the time I had my first child. And so I was standing near the reception desk. And a black woman came up to the desk and asked if she could get a wash and a blow dry. And a wash and blow dry.
Right.
And the receptionist looked at her and said, I'm sorry, we don't have anybody here who can do your hair.
Yeah, that's so like how dejected did she feel?
And I felt the rejection towards her, and it upset me so much, and my heart fell into my stomach. I was just like, this is not, and I was on a mission to go learn. And I actually, for a good 6 months, I contacted Dudley Institute in North Carolina, Pivot Point in Chicago. I was like looking at all these American schools to go to. I'd phone them up. Do you let white people come to your school?
Excuse me, are white people allowed?
Yeah, and I did literally ask that, Dudley's Institute in North Carolina. I asked that.
And did they treat you differently when you came in?
Well,
be honest.
I have had experiences. I later on in my career, I have had where I actually was I was an educator for a specific product line that came out with a black hair care line, a relaxer and everything. Mm-hmm. And I did go to Houston, Texas for training. Mm-hmm. There was only 4 Canadians that went. It was a room full of Americans. I was the only white person in the room.
Right.
And I probably got about 5 of the American women saying, oh, you must be here because you have biracial children. You want to learn how to do their hair.
You must have some little black kids.
Yes. And I was like, no, I'm actually a hairstylist who actually has a black clientele, and I'm here to promote the product.
Yes.
But it's an assumption. And I've had that happen to me a few times where I've gone into stores to purchase things, and they'll be like, oh,
it's like a plus size girl going into like a regular size store, and they're looking at you it's over there. Question. There has been some controversy around white people with all of a sudden, weave and braids, and let's take out weave. Take that back. Traditional styles like cornrow, renaming it to like all of a sudden it's this modern thing, these cornrows. If you go on Google, I don't know if you know this, but if you go on Google and you Google dreadlocks and images, a lot of white folks come up first.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about specific styles that have been traditional and historically known culturally in the black community? All of a sudden now white girls are like rocking the braids and how do you feel about that?
Okay, so there's a big difference between French braiding, white girls wearing French braids, and then the whole rocking the micro braids or dreadlocks and stuff. Mm-hmm. For me personally, it's not something I would ever do for myself. Mm-hmm. It's not something.
Why not?
It's not because I feel that I feel that that is a cultural tradition that happened, when we're talking about braids, this is an African tradition.
Yeah.
I am not an African woman. That is, I feel for myself. Other people can, however they feel. It's for them. For me, I feel it is not my place to embrace, to do that. And, and some people say, well, what's the big deal? Or whatever, people go to vacation and get their hair braided or whatever. No.
Which we laugh at, by the way.
Well, I understand that. And let me tell you, I was in Punta Cana and I had so many people ask me, I'm like, no, I'm not putting a set of braids in my hair ever in my life.
Right.
So, no, don't ask me again.
Right.
But
okay. So, what's the difference though? Because black women, we will wear the straight weave, chemically relax our hair. I mean, I know shouldn't everybody be able to just rock whatever hair that they want?
Well, they should. Unfortunately, you know, if there's a lot of Black women who, like yourself, from a very young age, they had chemically damaged, incredible second and third degree burn, scar tissue that happens when the relaxers are not done properly, which is something it just drives me crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so sometimes those weaves and braids are a necessity. They're, you know, whereas, you know, when
it's like a protective,
it's a protective style. It's to make, you know, that kind of thing. So yeah.
So what I wanted to also talk a little bit about, even though we're sort of going into the whole straightener thing, but I think it's something that's worthy of talking about, is there are huge studies that chemical relaxers have a direct link to fibroids in Black women. If you Google it, there is a strong connection with fibroids. For those of you guys that don't know what fibroids are, they're non-cancerous growths in the abdomen area. Some of them can grow from the size of a grape to the size of like a soccer ball, right? And I don't know if you're aware of, what do you think some of these, the chemicals, do you feel like?
So I'm gonna say it's
thinning edges. We need to talk about that.
Yes. It's not the chemical itself; it's the application.
You think so? What about the chemicals that are going in? Why do they say?
And I'm going to tell you why.
A pregnant woman shouldn't perm her hair.
Well, a pregnant woman shouldn't perm her hair or color her hair within the first 3 months based on hormonal changes. So sometimes the relaxer doesn't take or the color doesn't take. I worked behind the chair till I was 3 weeks before my child was born. I inhaled relaxer every day. Nothing wrong with my child.
No free-eyed kids.
Nothing like that. So here's the thing. And I was doing relaxers every day. That's when I was when it was back, you know, that's almost 16 years ago.
Right.
But we're going to go on that. But I just want to touch on this really quickly. It's the application of the relaxer that has damaged people's hair over the years.
Because historically what I've done is when it burns, that's when it's time to take it out.
So I want to say one thing.
Like it's not burned unless it's burning.
I want to say one thing. If your stylist puts a glove on their hand to protect their hand from the relaxer, why are they putting it on your skin?
Oh, so you think it shouldn't even be in the scalp? It
doesn't even need to be on the scalp. And the way that I do my relaxers, I don't even touch the scalp. I don't burn people because I don't use a brush. I use a applicator comb that allows me to get right to the root of the hair without touching the skin at all.
Right.
Because it's when it gets in the skin and then it penetrates into the follicles of the hair, of the scalp, and it burns. So we're not relaxing skin, we're relaxing hair.
Okay.
So,
all right.
We do not need to be burning up people. We need to be fixing, like, you know, fixing the hair or relaxing the hair or smoothing out the hair.
Got it.
It's a totally different thing.
Got it. Any tips about thinning edges? Now, I know a lot of women, like I know in high school, I spent a lot of time tearing up my hair into a ponytail. I actually did start to get thinning on the sides and decided to cut my hair short. Yeah. And that's sort of why I decided to cut my hair short. I've seen some women with the ponytails and I'm like, you got 3 strands of hair left. Like it, just let it go, sister, let it go.
Yeah.
So, and there's a difference between alopecia and thinning.
Yes.
So I want you to talk to me about Odie's question as any tips for thinning edges. And then I want you to talk a little bit about alopecia.
Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So the thinning edges, it could be a factor of things. It could be, you know, age or you know, because as we get older, we start to thin. That's going to be the first place that we thin. However, the direct thinning can be a factor of over relaxed hair, over processed hair over the years, and constantly smoothing in. Because let's face it, most people who get their hair relaxed, you know, everyone says make sure you get the edges and make sure that they're bone straight. So, but the thing is that the hairline is the weakest part of the hair, so that is going to thin out the most.
Right.
Secondly, with, you know, then heat and, you know, thermal styling and all those things. So you're not only relaxing the hair bone straight, then you're adding thermal styling on top of it and really getting that, you know, that hairline straight. And so that eventually over time, that hair is so fragile, it just starts to thin out and break off and thin out. And then when it comes to, we were talking about alopecia.
Yeah.
So alopecia is actually like something that actually happens to people. It's not necessarily a part of what happens with black anywhere. Like it happens to anybody, and it's actually a skin disorder. It's not an issue when it comes to. So it's not the relax. So if you feel like, say somebody got they say, well, I got alopecia after I got a relaxer. You may not be. You probably got a second or third degree burn that has scar tissue underneath the scalp, and now that hair can't come out through the follicle. So some
people think you're gonna get used to my interrupting.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
But some people think that once you get alopecia, you can't get your hair back, and it can grow back.
It can. Now there are people like I mean back in high school, I had a friend who had alopecia totalis, means that she was completely bald. Yeah, she will never have hair. She actually rocked it. She didn't even wear a wig or anything. Right. And she always has like, so there's different things. There's different types of alopecia where, you know, sometimes stress can bring on alopecia. Right. And when people are going through major stress bouts and little spots, their hair can come up. But those hairs can come back after a while. I really want to really enforce the fact that stress is a huge factor in hair loss and thinning and, you know, those things. So, I mean, and we live in a very stressful world. We all deal with stress on a daily basis. Right. And then when we start to lose our hair, we stress even more because we're losing our hair. So then it amplifies, like, you know, exemplifies. Amplifies. Sorry. Yeah.
So, what was I going to say? Okay. So here's another issue as, my hair actually in middle of the road can be quite coarse in certain parts of my hair.
You're probably tightest in the crown area.
Yeah, right.
Many people with curly hair,
right here,
tightest in the crown area.
Yeah.
Your diet too.
We'll come back to that. Yeah. But I've had issues where I'll go where I say I can't find a hair salon because downtown now they're starting to get more black hair salons. But at one point there wasn't. Yeah. Sometimes you're just like, oh God, can I hunt? I just need a lineup. I need something. I just need the back of my hair done. And white hairdressers will look at me and go, I can't. However, I've also gone to a black hair salon and they'll see the different patterns in my hair because I have like different patterns in the back. You've cut my hair. Yeah. And they'll look at me and go, yeah, no, we're okay. Yeah. So then what do you do? Because a lot of people cannot cut. My barber is actually biracial, and he has the same pattern as mine. Yeah. So there's no problem with actually doing my hair. Yeah. But I get it all the time. Like, and I have to walk in and judge the glaze on their eyes. Like, can you not? Yeah. Am I too black? Yeah. Am I not black enough? You know?
Well, and that's a big factor in a lot of hair textures, is especially like, you know, I mean, and it's in all textures, but a lot in the biracial community because, and I shouldn't say biracial because you're not biracial, but I'm just saying with different hair textures, the crown will be tightest. You know, you'll get a really frizzy hairline. Right. You'll be straighter in the back. Yes. So you could have like 2, 3, 4 different textures on one head of hair. Right. And if you don't have a stylist who actually understands curly hair textures, they're not going to be able to cut it properly. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Chris says, curious if your salon works with natural hairstyles, Bantu knots. I don't know how big the demand is if Afropunk has a stop out west. Well, she's in Toronto now. I mean, I do natural hair textures. I mean, I do twist outs and things like that. I have done Bantu knots. I haven't really had anybody lately who's wanted that, but I do twist outs. I deal a lot with natural hair textures. you know, I do cornrows and things like that, but I don't do single braids or anything like that in the salon. I only do that for my daughter.
I know if you're in the Brampton area, I know that Lock and Twists.
Yeah.
They do
and is there, and I believe that there is in Kensington Market, is there not a natural
it was Lock and Twist, but now they're in Brampton.
Okay,
yeah, they're in Brampton.
So
for
that's
sure.
all I know, yeah.
Okay, so Renata says, I always straighten flat iron my hair, then go to a white stylist for the cut. Never had a good cut from a black stylist. Interesting. Here's the thing. Right downstairs underneath my condo, there is a white hairdresser. But like the condo after me, there's a lot of black people in that just so happens to be a larger black community over there. So she has done black hair. When I went, she washed my hair and then cut it and somehow forgot that my hair will shrink. So where it was here, it was now here, right? So now what I will do is I'll wash my hair and then I will go and have her cut it. So I'm with Renata. I will have her cut it dry because I don't trust her.
Right. Okay. And that makes you comfortable. No.
Yeah, no, I'm not going there. She's not.
But I gauge when my client comes in. Mm-hmm. Some people I cut with their hair wet and some people I cut dry. So depending on what I do.
Right.
So depending on how they want to wear their hair when they leave.
Right.
And depending on their natural hair texture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm very, my strongest suits are cutting and texturizing. Those are my biggest suit. Like I'm very strong at those two things. So that I'm very particular about how I cut curly hair.
Question. Not particularly say you, right? Or Aria, your daughter, but did you find that you have a lot of children that are, say, resentful of their sister who has a different curl pattern than they, and comparing themselves to their mother, and how come, and especially when they're little, like how do you go about educating mothers on that? Because even within the black community, like my sister has far more, I don't even know if this is politically wrong, but finer features and straight, I don't know. She has a straighter nose. Her hair is a different texture. Yeah. And even within the black family, you know what I mean? Yeah. So how do you deal with that?
Well, it's just about educating each child how to deal with their specific hair texture. So I'm going to give you an example. Back in Winnipeg, I had a family. The mother was biracial and the father was white, and they had 3 daughters, and all 3 daughters had very different hair textures. One had like a looser curl, like just very wavy curl, smoother. The other one was like a little bit more spirally, you know, so people would say, oh, she's got the good hair, which is not necessarily what I believe in. And then the oldest one had like the really tight curly hair, and that was the one that like her hair wouldn't grow, and it was, you know, so there was a lot of envy between, you know, because the mom would say like, oh, I'm trying to get the older one to really love her hair, and you know, and over time, you know, it's just about reiterating the beauty that they have for their individual self, and that's the biggest thing, and really, you know, promoting that for them. You know?
Awesome. Alston says, yes, my daughter does this. She's asking to have white hair. Well, you know what? You know what I really do say I really embrace is the dolls. Yeah. We're seeing more and more dolls that aren't Barbie, but have that same kind of Barbie structure with big hair and curly hair and braids. Yeah. And I think even American Girl has a range of, and it's really a
Cabbage Patch.
Cabbage Patch?
Yeah, there is. Aria had a Cabbage Patch doll from Little that looked exactly like her.
Exactly.
Curly hair.
I did too.
So, yeah. So
I did too.
You know, and I think that the thing when you're speaking to your child about that, you know, you have to ask them questions like, what does white hair mean to you? Like, what does that look like for you? And then, you know, and sometimes, you know, people see white hair and they see straight hair, but they don't know if that white person has actually blow dried and flat ironed their hair, and they actually have curly hair underneath. Exactly. Like, so it's asking questions.
I have a question for the fathers, because we have a lot of women.
Yeah.
We have some men
Yeah.
on here also, and there's quite a few of them on
Yeah.
here. What is the easiest hairstyle that you would suggest for a father if the mother isn't present in the child's life or away? What is the easiest style that a father could do?
I think that the easiest style for a father to do would be like the two pigtails, or and braid each one. That would be the easiest for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to say that should be easy, because
Is it hard to
the
teach
father,
us to braid?
no, it's not, it's not, and in my experience of having my salon back in Winnipeg,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times I'd have the white mom and the black dad would come in, and they'd bring their child, and the dad would go sit right in the waiting area, and it's the mom who would come over, and I would teach, but then I would notice that the dad's not engaging.
Yeah,
so I'd be like, no, buddy, no. You're gonna come over here and learn too. So
I've seen videos of black men doing their little girls' hair. It's porn for me.
It is actually very beautiful. I
Oh,
love it.
look
I
at
love
him
it.
braiding and putting in the hair well. Oh, thank you. Like, it's porn for me. When I see,
Austin said, he said he's the hair man of the house. That's awesome. That's awesome.
it
Yes,
is. There's
good
something
for you.
really, there's
That's
something
great.
really lovely
And
about
I think
that.
and you could teach other men and other dads, and I think that's the beauty of it, is what you do, you can pass on to other people.
Yes,
and
yeah.
I think that's important. And I think that everything always gets put on the mom,
Right.
And I have to say, and we are talking about white moms and biracial kids. Here's the thing: if we've got a white mom and the biracial kid, there's a black dad, and he's got a family.
Yes.
The family's telling her what to do, and the family's telling her how to do it.
Here's
And
a good comment. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
That's what I do best.
Yeah.
Is a lot of times, say, black families, right? So say grandmothers of these biracial children would be like, oh, it's no problem. It's easy. You should be able to take care in comparison to what we had to deal with, right?
Yeah.
So do you feel like there's less of a empathy around mixed hair?
I think
Because in some ways, isn't it easier to take care of mixed hair?
well, no, it depends on what kind of texture they have, right?
This is
because
true.
I mean, some, like I said, like some mixed hair is a looser curl. I mean, my daughter doesn't have 1 ounce of Caucasian hair in her head.
No,
Like,
she did. Aria does have very
It's tight,
kinky,
tight. I have
tight
the
hair.
texturizer hair for you to even comb it.
Do you get this though, by the way? Because I think sometimes when I see a biracial child, here's the politically incorrect Rachael-Lea for the night. I will see a white woman walking down the street with a lighter child with like very tight, you know where I'm going with this? Really tight hair. And I'm like, what happened? Oh, that didn't work out very well. And that's terrible. I know I'm going straight to hell, but I'll see a white woman and I'm like, I don't get it, right? So, and I think a lot of white women sign up going, oh, little Sally's gonna have such nice, manageable hair, right?
Nice, good hair.
And that's so wrong.
Doesn't happen always for everybody.
So then it messes up.
Absolutely.
It messes things up.
But and I mean, I think that's when you really have to understand it. You really have to learn how to take care of it properly. And I'm going to get back to the whole, the trauma thing for children at a very young age.
Right.
If people do not, and I hope we can touch on the adoption issue, because this is a big thing when I dealt with the adoption issue as well, which I'd like to touch on. Yeah, because that's a big thing. Is that people don't want to hurt their children. It's not their intention to traumatize and torture their children. I realize that people, and a lot of times in the Black community, they say, well, that's just how it is. You gotta, it's how it is all the time. You just sit there, you get hit on the head with a comb.
Oh,
and,
my mom
and stop your crying and all those things.
Oh, yeah.
And I get, it can be a joke. It is a joke, and I like people make a joke of it. It's not a joke, but people make a joke of it. But it's actually very traumatizing.
It is. I had to hold down my ears.
And I don't think people really understand I feel like sometimes people don't really understand the depth of trauma that has. So just like with needles or anything, like kids already internalize the pain ahead of time. So that's why, you know, the kick up and the fighting happens, right? Because they've gotten themselves so overhyped about you know, the pain that it's going to cause. As soon as they see the comb, just like as soon as they see a needle, they go crazy.
Donovan, turn your kids into a dreadlock and give them a tab. And the comment of the night goes to Donovan. Just, in fact, don't even do dreadlocks, guys. Just do one. Just do one. Because I know sometimes people get very frustrated. Now, my friend Andre Ennis, he takes time with his child's hair, and I know that he can, I don't know if he's fancy dancy, but he takes time to ensure that his daughter is tidy. So what if there's any last questions or comments, I would love to let's ask. If not, I want to get all your information, and I haven't even asked her that yet. Would you be willing to do a one-on-one with maybe a father or
absolutely
or a mom that's really having problems, whether they're black or white, right? You don't discriminate here.
No.
So what I would love you guys to do is I want you to send me an email. Yeah, we're almost out of time. We'll talk about the adoption thing. But real talk with rl@gmail.com. Send me an email. Title it, I can't comb my child's hair. Joking. Just say you'd like to have the one-on-one with Ilona. And the first person to get to, you'll do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And I mean, we can talk about, you know, and then if people have questions, like, don't hesitate to contact me. I can give you my information.
You'll be doing some classes.
I will be doing some classes. So
please,
but
all the white ladies out there, please take the class. And the black women and the fathers. It's really for everybody really needs to focus. Yeah. Real quick on the adoption thing, and then we're out of here.
Okay. So that's the same thing too with the adoption thing. In Winnipeg, I dealt with a lot of parents in the adoptive community, and I do have some clients here who are part of the adoptive community. A lot of white families who adopt black children, right? You know, and you know, hair care is not a big topic that is touched on. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. But it's very important because I think that at the end of the day, and I'm very big about this whole traumatizing children thing, because it really makes a big difference. Right. And you know, when the kids are coming from a place, when they're coming from a place where they're, you know, they're you know, constantly getting their hair done and stuff, and then they come here and it hurts them. Right. And a lot of the white parents, they don't want to extra hurt their child. Right, you know, they've just taken this child from a traumatic situation. And then and so a lot of times those parents don't want to, they don't know what to do, or they're scared to touch the hair. Yeah. So, you know, these are things that I'm very passionate about teaching people. And you can tell, I really love helping people with that, and really helping the children to understand how beautiful their hair is, and I have tons of patience. I am the detangling queen, so yeah. Perfect.
Perfect. So we will have Ilona back. I know I've been rushing her. We can go. Oh my God, we could go for another hour. We could go on forever. We will give you Ilona's thing. Before I do that, I would just want to say Ilona has 3 children.
2.
So 3.
Oh, 3.
So she has, I just want to show you how patient
the third one is.
The third one is. This whole time, this dog has been patient. And you have another white child.
She's actually my grandchild.
This one has straight hair. Yes. This one has straight hair.
She's blonde.
But anyway, yeah.
She's my white grandbaby.
Yeah, exactly. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I think it's a really important comment.
It is.
Please let us know.
Yes, I will.
Do you have an email?
Yes.
People can send it to.
It's Ilona Reese Hair.
ILLO.
No, ILONA.
ILONA.
REECE at, so hair, sorry.
Hair.
At gmail.com.
At gmail.com. All right. Yeah?
Yeah. Perfect.
All right.
Yeah.
So Ilona Rees Hair at gmail.com. Where are you located?
Where I'm at Anthony Pissarro Salon at 114 Cumberland Street in Yorkville.
Okay, and I will post up all her information again. I think what you're doing is amazing. I think you've come on board. I think there was a lot of white ladies who were hoping that there was a representative like yourself who could show that you are knowledgeable, you do care about all of your customers that come in.
I do.
And it's more than just
doing hair.
Yeah,
it's more than just hair. I get to the heart of everything.
Absolutely.
I love the heart.
So for another week, Real Talk with Rachael-Lea, I want you to encourage to please follow my YouTube. I'm trying to build this shit. So my YouTube is Real Talk with Rachael-Lea on YouTube. And I love you guys. Thank you for spreading the word and getting the videos out there. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And like every week, how we begin is how we end.
Don't need a trip to the beauty shop, cause I love what I got.
So do you want to come to my beauty shop?
And it's right out there. You know what I love. That's right. My hair. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
This is Ilona, and thank you for joining for yes. Another Real Talks with Rachael-Lea. Ilona, Rachael-Lea, we're out of here. And like every week, we do this. Ready? Have a great week, guys.
Bye.
We're a clip, you're in.